I call the planning board for February 2nd, 2021 to order. And the first item on the agenda is old business continued discussion of the Dapson Chesney Funeral Home, Chris Chesney, 51 West Market Street, an amendment to the existing site plan, expansion of the parking lot. So we have Chris here, I see. Can you hear us, Chris? He's here. Oh, there he is. Good evening.
Now that's Sean Kemp.
No, I'm looking for Chris. He's in the lower left on my screen. You got to turn on your microphone.
Okay, I'm on.
There you
There
are.
you go.
Good evening.
All right.
So we all got copies of the plans a couple of weeks ago. We had to postpone this item, and we're back tonight. Chris has added some parking spaces to the funeral parlor area. I think Ryan has that. And it's a request to modify the existing site plan. So, is that the original site plan, Ryan? Gets this.
Ryan's on mute now, too.
Oh,
You want me to answer that?
Yes, yes. Hold on, let me.
there you go.
So this is what we're looking at right now.
Right.
Okay, Chris, take it away.
I don't know what to take away.
So just present basically what was existing and then what you are proposing, basically what you've indicated and drawn on the on
Survey
your
map?
site map here.
Yeah, this is actually a survey map, I think, not the site map, but this shows that on the Oak Street side of the property, Oak Street North, where it says Blacktop, rather than the parking being facing into the lot, they're now facing at an angle. And the backyard area has been regraded, and you can see where I wrote gravel, where it's all gravel now. And I think that's about it. Reason this is a survey, that's why this doesn't represent the buildings as they are now, because this is a survey map from 1994.
So how many spots are being added?
None. There's the same number of spots. They're just in a different direction.
Okay.
But I have counted, I would say 10 because of the increase into the gravel area where that used to be, substantially higher, and it's been graded down so it's the same level. And I have seen on some weekends maybe 10 cars. I think you got 5 spaces listed there. John Fenton said that you had made an arrangement with Mirabeau to have some of their employees parking there.
Okay.
So is that the case of what we have there, Chris?
No longer have an arrangement with Mirabeau. And when the line person did put lines down, they did extend into the gravel area, but they're all worn away now.
Okay, so you're not
Using that as parking, no.
So I guess if the spots remaining the same, then the only issue that we had at our pre-meeting with Ryan, Michael, and myself was that the parking now points to the next property, and lights could shine in the people's windows. And we wanted to see if there's a fence going in along that parking to sort of block the headlights from coming in.
No intent to do that, no. No. That would be obstructive for snow plowing for my neighbor, for entryway for them, and make it tremendously narrow.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Have there been complaints from the neighbors about the lights?
I've heard two people at 10 and 12 have complained about the lights, and the one guy that lives in Hollenbeck on the upstairs, he said somebody was parking in the back of Hollenbeck's, and because it looked like the two parking lots were almost now continuous. There's I would say a distance of maybe 15 to 24 inches between them, and they're on the same level. And they were parking in the back of Hollenbeck's, even though they don't, it's just two apartments. And he was concerned about that. And then the person at 12 says now because of the angle of the parking, that the lights go across the backyards into his backyard. And our precedent is any time you have a commercial property abutting residential is that it's screened from the neighbors.
Was that because when they parked in the gravel area in the back that the lights were coming in?
Yeah.
And Chris said they're not parking there anymore. Is that,
They're not parking there. Why was the area graded and gravelled?
Because we had to remove some dead trees, and then we replaced the grass area. We graded it down because now it was going to leave holes where the trees were taken out. So we graded it to match the Hollenbeck property and put gravel down instead of grass for easier maintenance.
Well, it seems to me then it's inviting people to park there, unless you're out patrolling the parking lots. When those lots, those designated spaces get full, people are going to pull into that gravel area.
Quite
So it
possibly.
seems to me, I think Michael is right. Generally speaking, when we have a commercial use next to a residential use, we require some sort of screening, especially if the parking is right along the property line.
Is that across the board for the entire business district of the village?
I think in any new commercial uses next to residential, we would require that as part of site plan approval.
Yeah, I'm not new, but okay. 1995 was my previous review. So would that apply to municipal parking lots and government buildings?
Well, most government buildings are exempt from zoning, so they do what, they don't necessarily come to the planning board for suggestions. But it is typical for other sorts of uses. There may be exceptions out there where they have been around for a while, like your business. But as new site plan approvals are made, we improve them to match the general standards that we try to impose on to protect residential properties next to business districts. Tell me why again you couldn't put a fence there.
Hollenbeck's isn't residential. That's part of the business district.
No, it was originally residential. Then Hollenbeck's had it rezoned to commercial when they put the realtor in there, and then it stayed commercial when Sheer Cleaner was in there, and then they came back to us to rezone it back to residential so that they could get two apartments in it. So it's reverted back to residential.
Okay.
Tell me why you can't put a fence up, because you can plow parallel to a fence and not knock it down. And there did seem to be before the snow went out there, when I looked at it, it looked like there was a foot or so between the two driveways where you could put a fence.
I didn't know we were in favor of fences, but I would want to talk to Paul Hollenbeck before I did that, because it's going to be very restrictive for him. That's a very narrow driveway on his side.
Well, where does your property line end in relation to the parking lot? Is it paved right up to the edge? Or is it paved a feet back or what?
I think you're correct. There is less than a foot of a grassy area between his driveway and the property line and my paved area.
And who owns that?
That is the line,
Through the center of that grassy area?
to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Yeah. So it seems to me we could put a fence there. It seems to me
Yeah.
because you have very angled parking, there's space that you could move that parking back a little bit and still have room to back out without hitting the building because the angles are pretty acute. And you could put a fence along your property line that would be set at the edge of the asphalt, still leaving a grassy area in between the two so that it doesn't restrict Hollenbach's driveway. That
I
way there
have
would-
a, I have a photo that shows the angled parking and the adjacent house with the little grass strip between. If you'd let me share my screen, Ryan, I can show it.
Go right ahead, Jeff.
Can you see this?
What?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it looks like about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet.
And like where exactly the property line is there anymore, I couldn't designate after all these years, but I guess that would have to be determined.
Hmm. I don't know. Seems like I think John Clark is right. You could plow straight up into the gravel area.
Oh, I can. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm required to do that because the village plows all the snow from Oak Street onto my sidewalk and parking. So that's, my plow guy plows up there all the time. So that's not it. I would be more concerned. I would just be concerned about Paul. That's the only, that would be, because it's going to be a narrow shoot back in there for him. But, that's okay. That's not my issue. That if that satisfies the planning board.
Well,
I
there's-
think that would be okay with me if there was a sturdy wooden fence that would, and put it right along the edge of the asphalt. So presumably the grassy area is still maintained as a buffer. That shouldn't restrict the Hollenbach driveway, and you will still have room to back into that area, and you could extend it back to the gravel where it goes up the hill so that if people do park back there, they're still screening.
Okay. Okay.
Agreement then. All right.
Like rear yard parking. So this is an improvement. If you could take away some of the front yard parking and put it in the back, I would like it better.
You sound just like the planning board of 25 years ago.
I've been on the planning board 25 years.
You were?
No, I wasn't. I think I started in 2001, but yeah,
That
close.
that was Mike Frazier's time.
Yeah,
He was chair then.
Sandy Hoisrett.
I remember Sandy. He's a good old guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we want to accommodate businesses like yours in the village. You do a
Mhm.
service
Thank you.
and rear yard parking. So if you wanted to stripe some of that property in the back, I would be in favor of it myself, as long as the fence extended back, so provided the necessary screening.
Okay,
That sounds reasonable to me, too.
okay.
All right, then, do I have a motion for to approve the amended site plan for Dobson Chesney Funeral Home?
I'll make a motion with the condition that the 6 foot, well, it can't be, has to be 4 feet in line with the building and then up to 6 feet after the front plane of the building.
Well, 4 feet's enough to block the headlights, I would think.
Yeah,
Right.
4 foot
Yeah,
fence.
yeah,
So-
4 feet sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
And the further back you get, the gravel is recessed is deeper into the ground. So the fence would probably be close to 6 or 7 feet above the excavated gravel bed.
Good. Mhm.
So as long as it's 4 feet in front of the plane of the front plane of the building, and from
And
there,
a solid fence so that the headlights aren't protruding into apartment dwellers.
Right.
I get that. I don't understand what the plane of the building is. What does that mean? I'm not a planning.
Well,
The front plane of the
building that's
building.
parallel with the street.
Okay,
In front of that, you have to be down to 4 feet, but after that, you can be up to 6 feet.
gotcha. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
All right, do we have a second?
Hollenbeck has any problems, we can adjust. He can come back next month and or 2 weeks, we can adjust.
Yeah, I'll talk to
On your
him.
property, you shouldn't have any problem with it.
Yeah. I just want to be a considerate neighbor.
Yeah. I think that's, we all do.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, a roll call vote. Jeff,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and David says aye. Motion passes. Good luck, and thank you so much, Chris, for coming back.
Thank you. Sorry, yeah, I had to have an MRI. I had an accident, so.
Oh, you're
So
okay, though. As long as you're okay.
I'm okay. Thanks.
Good.
Good.
Thank
Well,
you.
Good luck. Thank you, Chris. Stay safe.
Be in touch. Thanks.
Okay, so the second item, and we have Sean here, is Marvin and Marvin is changing to Marvin and Kemp. And I think that's the only change we're making here. Good
That's
evening,
correct.
Sean.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Well,
Excellent. Yeah, so it's basically the identical sign. There's no changes to lighting or dimensions. There's just going to be some changes to the lettering. Yeah.
There's no hyphen or slash. I looked at it and said, who's this guy Marvin Kemp?
Yeah, I know
Heard of
we went back and forth about it, but it actually makes things a little bit easier, especially with giving out email addresses and things of that nature.
It's okay. And that's your logo, MK. I like that.
Fine to me.
And they're,
I always say when people propose white backgrounds is that we have found that when people use white backgrounds, that it makes the sign look sort of temporary, sort of cheap looking, because it sort of looks like paper.
Yeah,
Looks like a temporary sign.
I apologize. It's not actually a white background. It's like a grayish background that matches the color of the building.
That's
Okay,
great.
that's better.
Yeah.
That's better.
anything but white looks good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very nice. And it's not changing. Is there lighting on the sign?
There's a light on each kind of side of the sign. It's downward pointing, and that's not going to be modified at all.
I checked it out. The lighting's good.
All right. And it's well within the building frontage divided by 2 is 19 square feet, and this is 6.64 square feet. So it looks good. Do we have a motion to approve the new sign for 44 West Market Street?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
One thing, it should be noted that it says on the bottom, primed and painted white. So if we
Yeah,
can,
that,
for the record, that it's going to be a grayish background rather than a white background.
yeah, I
Off-white.
appreciate you pointing that out. It will not be white.
And when it's up, can you please take a picture of it and get it to Ryan,
Oh, absolutely.
the files?
Yep.
Okay, we need a roll call vote. Jeff,
Aye.
John,
Right.
Michael,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and David says aye. Okay, good luck on the merger. I hope it's you guys are successful.
Thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated.
Take it easy.
I hope
Sean.
everybody has a good night.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank
So the
you.
last one is Tea Kettle Spout LLC, 29 Knollwood Road. It's an area variance, front yard site plan review. Now, it's the setback is over 100 feet from Knollwood Road. The required standard is 25 feet is the maximum setback. So the question comes to us that we've done this before when we're making comparisons to houses that are beyond the limit of the 25 feet. And we look at the adjacent properties, and the adjacent property to one side is beyond the 100+ feet, and on the other side is vacant land, and then we get into the town. So I think if the board agrees, we can allow this without having to go through the formal variance.
The houses in Knollwood are up and back and up and back. Think of like Verplanski's and Sowers, they're way back, right? That's still in the village, right?
The village line is just, I don't have it with me. It's just past this
But I
property.
mean, it's not like there's a line across the front of all the houses. I mean, the front plane of the houses is not even at all.
Not specifically. There are one or two houses from one of the developments in there that's right on the border of the elementary school property line, Mary, but it's
Oh, yes,
very
yes, okay.
jumbled
Okay, on the
back
other
there.
side. Okay.
It's really in the village center that we have houses very close to the sidewalk lined up down the street.
Okay, I'm thinking of past the school going east. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Once you get outside towards the town, the lots begin to get bigger and more spread out than
Right.
the village center. So if we're agreeable to that, then this is not in the historic district. Ryan, are we going to do a site plan approval on the property?
That is within your latitude and the board's latitude to approve the new single-family dwelling. It can be all part of the approval resolution. The architect, Josh, is here to answer any questions any of you might have. And I'm sure he has a whole presentation. We talked about it for about 2 weeks, and he's welcome to answer any questions and show the board sort of what is existing. Josh, it's like a ranch style,
Yes. Yep.
but you can't really tell because it sits so far back from the road. And then what is being proposed is more of a uniform 2-story house where the garage is within the front plane and doesn't, it doesn't jut out as what exists right now. But
That's right. The existing
Take
garage
over.
pushes forward from the front plane of the house. I mean, that's just one non-conforming piece to the existing property, but I mean, that's just sort of a perk to this. Obviously the new house, we're trying to abide by the planning board regulations as much as possible. The only one was a setback issue that we were running into. And there's a
And
number
you're
of
closing up,
reasons.
the garage had a driveway, which is going to be closed up. Is that correct?
Can you repeat that?
The old garage was way back and had a driveway, so you had 2 driveways on Knollwood.
Oh, there was a detached garage yes, to the east side of the property that runs way back toward the back corner, but there's also an attached garage at the front of the house
Right.
that faces the street.
So you're going to close up the second driveway?
The second driveway is going away along with the second garage. The house is going to reorient to Knollwood. We're now, it's kind of at an odd angle, and the front door doesn't present itself to the street in any convincing way. So we'll have a clearly defined new entry parallel with Knollwood, and I think it's more in keeping with the overall kind of character of the neighborhood and intent of the planning board. It's just the setback issue.
It certainly meets the condition for the waiver of the front setback, because it's keyed to the buildings on the same side of the street.
Right.
The buildings across the street are a little closer, but the buildings on that side of the street, on the one next door and particularly on the corner, Summers or whatever it is well
Yep.
back. So I don't have any trouble with putting it back there. It sits up on a hill. It's kind of right at the edge of the village. It's not in the historic district. I don't have any problem with the waiver. I have two suggestions. I think you can probably take it or leave it because we normally don't do site plan on a single family house out of the historic district, but I have two suggestions. One, there's a large 24-inch oak tree that's in the front left side of the house. Really looks like a very magnificent tree. And where the house is placed, it's right in the middle of the driveway. And my suggestion, and it seems like it could be done without changing floor plans or anything else, is just move the house 15 feet to the east, and that tree would be able to be saved because it's not in the footprint of the house, it's just in the middle of the driveway. So I would suggest you save that tree, save yourself some money. It's a really nice amenity. It looks healthy. So unless it's not healthy, I would say an easy fix would be to move the house to the east a little bit.
Sure, and yeah, I mean, we all want to save that tree. I agree with you 100%. You know, I'm sure it has a substantial root system, and you know, hopefully it'll make the journey. And we are considering pushing the house over, partially for that reason. So I appreciate the feedback.
And then my second point, just let me finish. The landscaping you show on the, you're taking down everything that's there almost around the house, the hedges and all that. You're showing some trees lining the driveway going up, which is fine. Although it tends, as you look up the driveway, now you're framing the garage doors as opposed to framing the house. So my suggestion would be to use those trees along the frontage of the property and create street trees for the village. We always ask for street trees on any site plan. This isn't a site plan, so we can't require it. But I would ask you to put in street trees along the front lawn close to the road so that it creates that sort of street corridor leading into the village. And you can
Sure.
still do the ones up the driveway if you want, but my preference would be to see street trees rather than driveway trees.
Sure. Yeah, and we're in the very, you know, by the time we had these drawings prepared for you, we're kind of in the early design process here. So the driveway layout, we're going to improve on. We're actually going to think about moving it a little bit east and creating a little bend to it so that you're not framed directly at the garage doors. Partially for that reason. Question on the trees. I mean, is there any limitation on density of plantings along the road?
Usually the directions we give is 30 feet in the village center and 40 feet on center further out. So I would say anywhere in that range, 40 feet would be fine because you're more at the edge of the sort of going into the woods part of the village.
Okay.
And deciduous trees are better than, you know, conifers, and you set them back 10 or 15 feet from the pavement. So they still act as street trees, and there's room for a sidewalk if one ever gets out there.
Okay.
I have a question. Where's the existing septic system, and are you reusing that, or are you doing a new one?
The existing septic system is to the north side of the house, and it's not noted on the plan because we actually have an engineer locating that specifically on the plan. We're going to be doing a new septic system. We're going for Board of Health approval in the next few weeks here.
It's down to the east and towards the road, according to the
Yeah,
drawing.
the new system will be, exactly, yep. And there's kind of a clear area down there that we're going to use, and we got really good perk tests back. And
Well, again, Josh, these are only suggestions. You know, we don't approve one-family houses outside the historic district. It's just the area variance, which I think we're agreeable to waive that and approve the location of the property. Would someone like to make a resolution to, we're not approving the site plan. We're agreeing that an area variance is not necessary.
right, that's my understanding.
I had to word that.
So I'll make a motion that the planning board authorizes the waiver of the front yard setback according to the provisions in 120-8 dimensional table. And as a result, a variance is not necessary.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
it.
I beat you, Mary.
It was a tie, like
Okay, he beat-
Jeopardy. All right, Michael seconds it. A voice count, John Clark,
Aye.
Mary Quinn,
Aye.
Michael Gee,
Aye.
Jeff Christensen. Turn on your mic or wave your hand.
Aye.
David Miller,
All
aye.
right.
All right, good luck. Sure
Okay,
it'll be a
great.
beautiful house.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you. So we'll get a letter from the planning board?
Yes, Josh, I'll put something together that would reflect the resolution. Sort of once also to the minutes are approved of this meeting, and you'll have it. And then whenever you're ready to start the building permit phase, just follow up with the office then.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ryan.
You're very welcome,
Good
Josh.
luck.
Okay, have a great night.
Good night
Okay.
now.
Good night.
We had 2 minutes that just arrived. Did anyone get a chance to read the minutes? They were very lengthy. I didn't get a chance to look at them with the storm and everything. Did people get a chance to look at them?
Well, they were a couple days ago, right?
Yeah,
I looked at them, but we can put them off if everybody else hasn't.
I noticed that in a couple of locations there were placeholders for something else that had to be filled in. So they weren't the final minutes for approval, is that right?
yeah, no, they were. Ryan has to add, like the resolution that I read
I see.
for the hotel that our lawyer wrote. Ryan has to stick that into the minutes because it was like a page and a half of whereases that
Okay.
she didn't want to type out, just attach it. But I guess we could look it over and approve them at the next meeting. Is that all right, Ryan?
Sure, we can table them. Yes, I don't think there's anything super pending that would require those minutes approved tonight. Some of the items that Jeff is bringing up, I guess it was either a bandwidth issue, there was just static, and Chrissy could not interpret what was being explained in the recording. That's sometimes a issue with Zoom, that if the bandwidth is overloaded or something, somebody's connection doesn't come through, either the audio is interfered with or something, and that's where some of those areas in the minutes she couldn't understand who was speaking at that time. So if anyone can assist, it would be greatly appreciated.
Well, everybody can look it over and we can read those. I think she had them in red.
Yes.
You should understand. So we can look it over. We can write. We can, Ryan can make some notes for her that we want.
One, I can tell her tell everybody right now the 3 or 4 changes that I saw, so she could get those corrected.
Okay.
For the November 17th, Clark has an E on the end throughout. On page 2, the word striped has 2 P's in it, should only have 1. On page 3, she didn't understand the name of the tree. It's Zelkova, Zelcova. And also on page 3, she has the word vacuity, and it should be vicinity. So those were the only changes I saw.
And
then-
I saw, oh, sorry. Somewhere it says Mr. Quinn instead of Ms. Quinn.
I saw that too.
Yeah,
I'll locate
no
that.
big deal.
All right.
And then on the December 15th, there was a sentence that says, Mr. Clark, and she couldn't understand what I said. And I would suggest just taking out that sentence because I was asking about colors, in the next sentence, Christian talked about colors, so the sentence doesn't need to be in there.
Okay.
Marked in red.
So do you want, Ryan, do you want her to make the changes and then send them out again, and then we can do a final review in 2 weeks?
I can work with her on it, and
Okay, good.
the new draft I'll send out once she has it ready, or if both of us sort of arrive at the same destination, we'll send it out and have it ready for the board to approve at the next meeting.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments about the village? Things are pretty quiet.
I got a letter today from New York State Parks and Historic Preservation. It said my house is on the National Register. I wonder how the village is continuing that or not. It's like,
Oh, I think they were waiting for it to be on the National Register, and then they were going to have some public hearings.
yeah.
Mayor and the board. I don't know if Lydia's here. When that was approved, then the village is going to hold some public hearings to finalize the new map and the new houses. Good
Hi.
evening, Lydia.
Good evening. How are you?
I think we're all tired from shoveling.
There's that. I happen to actually be in New Mexico at the moment, so
Oh,
I've been.
nice.
Yeah.
Over
So I gave my husband a round of applause on shoveling. But yeah, so I haven't had a chance to talk to the mayor about this. But yes, it's very exciting that the National Register has approved. I mean, in my mind, it's very exciting. But we were not going to bring this in front of the village until we could have in-person public hearings, because we wanted to make sure that everybody who wanted a chance to speak about it could speak about it, and not everyone fully understands how to do a public hearing over Zoom. So that was our plan. But I'm happy to have that conversation with you, David, at some point, and get your 2 cents on that. So.
Okay, well, yeah, if Mike got the letter, then it's done.
Yeah, I mean, it's
great.
done on the state and federal level. And now just the question is whether or not we're gonna expand the local district. But I do know that I'm sure that everybody getting the federal letter is gonna raise some confusion about what that means for the local district. And so I'll probably have to send out another email saying, still, nothing has changed with the local district, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's exciting. Seems like people are working in the federal government, which is nice. It's nice to see that.
It's nice.
And I think Ryan said there's not much in the hopper yet. I think 55 South Street is going to come back, Ryan, you said?
She's working on it. We had some correspondence. She had some questions. I asked what those questions were, and I have not heard back yet. So I'm not going to run anyone down. So when she's ready to present whatever she's drafted and completed, we'll bring it to the board.
Well, she has Fenton's violation letter, so she's put on notice. Okay.
Any
Anybody
word
else?
on,
She being the owner, Ryan?
Yes.
any word on the zoning enforcement officer? Has that been resolved in any direction?
It has. The acting zoning enforcement officer is Michelle Turk, who is also the full-time zoning administrator for the town. So she will be helping out in both municipalities. Specifics and details such as a schedule and availability are still in the works. I believe she just completed her paperwork this past week, and we're sort of getting our feet wet at the moment right now. So
Well, nothing critical seems to be going on in the village right now. But should some, a major project come along in the next few meetings, we might need a zoning enforcement officer to participate in one of our planning board meetings to give us some advice. But right now, it looks like it's the dead of winter and everything is dead.
There is that.
Okay.
She is also following up on some violations that were from 2020. So not necessarily that those warrant to be, the owners to be seen by the planning board, but there are other items that she is addressing right now.
And then we have, there are projects on Chestnut. There's a big house going up. Right next to it is a garage going up. There's another building going up on Platt, I think it is. So,
Yes,
and the
right.
boys are working on South Street, raising the barn up and dropping it back down again. So I assume there's somebody doing building inspections.
Yes,
That's what our
the
concern.
current fire inspector, Brian Conley, is now the acting building inspector, and he will be wearing both hats and is completing inspections. The other individual who sort of will be watching over everyone is Ken McLaughlin, who is also the building department administrator in other municipalities, specifically the town of LaGrange and some other municipalities in Eastern Dutchess. But he has graciously stepped in and will be sort of the acting building administrator here for the village. And he will oversee if there's a situation where Brian Conley is either unavailable or has too much on his plate, Ken will step in and act in his stead. And then there's also items that he will most likely be working with Michelle on. So we're all going to pitch in, and
Okay.
we
And the
all
highway
have
department-
shovels, and the hole gets dug faster.
The highway
We have
department did a
multiple
great
shovels.
job plowing the snow, so somebody's in charge. They did a good job.
That's
Yes, Scott Min. Yes, he's the new foreman for the highway department.
Good. Well, they did a great job today.
Yeah, I don't know if you all noticed, but we decided not to replace the sort of public works superintendent position, and instead we just hired from within the highway department to lead that work. And so public works is now separate from building and zoning
Okay.
and planning. So that did happen.
Anybody?
I
Any
happened to catch the village board meeting, December 17th or whatever, when you were discussing all of this. So it sounds like it's a good plan. There's checks and balances, and sounds good.
Yeah, we're pretty pleased with it. What I'm really delighted about with the new setup in Ryan's office is, that it's not just one person who's doing all of it and keeping it all in his head. Like, I'm actually delighted that there's going to be more email traffic. There's going to be more communication with Ryan. Ryan's really kind of going to be the air traffic controller for the office. The big projects and the big questions will filter through Ken, and Ken will kind of manage the whole thing. And then, building and zoning as needed. And so building and zoning inspectors really aren't going to have a place in Village Hall. Like, their role is much more boots on the ground out in the village to make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And we'll see. Like, we're giving this kind of structure a test run to see if it works, if it's too complicated, if it sort of just complicated enough. Because we did notice that some things were falling through the cracks when it was only one person kind of keeping track of all of it. And so hopefully things like 55 South Street and a few other things that are going on. So hopefully this will resolve some of those questions and resolve some of those delays.
I saw there's a house being torn down on Mulberry.
Yep.
Oh, is it is it finally getting torn down? The one at
Gone.
like 46 or 48?
Yep. 37.
37.
Right,
It's
yeah.
gone.
Is a
And
new
I-
house approved to go in there?
Have you all approved a new house to go in there?
No,
They don't
No.
have to. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
in the
not in the
historic
district.
it's
district.
not in the historic
Oh,
district yet.
It's
Correct.
not in the historic district yet, that's true.
So there is a single family dwelling. The new owner is working with an architect right now. And when they come back for the building permit for the new house, obviously the department will have a sense of what's being constructed. We don't
I
know if
hope
it's going to
it's, you
be a
know,
modular or
Not
we don't
something with
know.
giant picture windows or something that won't fit into the historic district because, you know, where it's, you know, it's on a historic block now, but not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
It's
I
a
know.
shame it went up on Platt, that black house. I think that's a real blight on the neighborhood.
It is. It's a black house. I saw it the other day.
Painted it black, wow.
Black
It's
house.
black with tinted dark windows, so it looks like a black cube.
Really? I
It
haven't
was like
seen
the
it.
Death Star. That
Yeah.
sounds kind of.
Yes. This is the issue that we have not approving the historic district yet, so I hope
Well,
they
I mean,
want
is it better or worse than the double wides on Platt, you know?
I don't know. I hope the one on Mulberry looks nice. You know,
I mean, the picture that they had in front of it for a while looked, you know, fine enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't sort of glass and steel and reclaimed wood.
As long as they put the garage towards the rear and not in front, you know, that's something that even though we don't have say-so over single-family homes outside the historic district, the building inspector, the zoning enforcement officer always tried to get new houses to have the, because there is a provision in the residential district that doesn't allow front yard parking or garages to dominate the front plane of the building, so.
I have had Zoom calls with the new owners, and they are very receptive to the standards in the village. And I feel that they will be respectful to what new building and new construction in the village, and sort of what they represent on that part of the street. So
Yeah, point them to the residential district standards and sort of tell them that they should abide by those if they can. There's no reason why they can't.
I wouldn't think so either.
do we have any other questions? We seem to have lost some businesses, I think the Beekman Arms has closed temporarily. The the Bistro is closed. I think Market Street has closed for the winter. And Haldora and other businesses have gone. And it's going to be.
I don't know. I think they're slowly coming back. I think I saw on various social media platforms that the owners gave their staff a break, a needed break from the holidays and sort of delivery and the adjusted hours. So I think they are back, because I did see quite a crowd in Petite Bistro the other night. And there
Okay.
were people dining before the nor'easter out on the porch at Market Street. So I think everybody's back, the ones that
I
came
spoke to the
back.
mayor today about something else, and I said I hope that we'll get permission from the state again, and that is an early spring, like in April, that we can put the barriers back up and try to get some outside dining and try to at least help save the restaurants. And he was hopeful too, because I don't think it's going to be over by April, May, June. This has a way to go, probably another summer of suspending the zoning law and letting people try to survive as best they can. And there was a big article in Poughkeepsie Journal and I think in Hudson Valley Magazine about the Prime Deli and the wonderful, they're going to have.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a deli. They were going to have hamburger and sirloin steak and things that you could buy a butcher in there as well. So, and they're opening in March, when I guess they hope that, you know, things will quiet down by then. Although God only knows when this will end. But yeah, we can just hope that the businesses survive as best they can. I know Al's selling a lot of pizzas like he always does. He's
Yeah,
unstoppable.
he sure is.
As is the Japanese does take out, you know, a lot of places to take out. But I don't know. The whole country's losing hundreds of thousands of restaurants. Difficult. Anybody else have any other questions?
What went on across from your house on Sunday, David?
I don't know. It wasn't even in the paper. I looked out the window and there were 8 police cars on the corner.
Yeah.
Went outside and looked down. There was 4 more down by town hall. And obviously they had some kind of incident because I stayed there for 3 hours. And then they all left. And it wasn't in the paper. Something happened. Must have been some kind of like hostage situation. I have no idea. But
It was Untitled News, which is a website, and they just said it was a domestic dispute of some sort.
yeah, but it went on for 3 hours and they all left. Asked people going by and said, I know the police wouldn't say anything. I shouted out my window to passerbys. Big mystery. Anything else? So if we have,
Together a sketch now that friend Mr. Bender has gotten his approval for the parking lot near the Frontier building. Something that has always been on my mind, that we should encourage a new building on the corner to replace the white building. Instead of having a parking
Okay.
lot on our main corner, we should have a building there and recreate the white building on that
beautiful
corner.
building.
And so I figured out a way in which you could replace the parking and still put a building on that corner. So if anybody's interested, I'll show them my sketch. I think it's part of the comprehensive plan, and that's a spot that should have a building on it. And I just hate to see corner parking lots in the main intersection across from the Beekman Arms.
I like tents. That tent was.
Yeah, this
Have you
tent-
talked to Elijah about it?
No, I figured I should at least show it to the planning board before I went to some private citizen, but I don't know Elijah anyway, other than when I see him here, so I don't really have it in. But I thought it, ever so often you sort of say, something's got to happen there in the long run, and we might as well plan for it rather than just let somebody else design it. So I threw together a conceptual plan. I figured out how to make the parking work. It involves, shared parking amongst the businesses on that corner and that block. But it's doable. And so I would love to see a building put back there and somebody to try to emulate something close to what the white building used to look like.
it was
I would agree.
I have a bunch of different photographs of the white corner.
Yeah,
It was beautiful.
yeah, it was.
And he had discussed, I don't know where he is with it, a plan to put a multi-level parking garage in the bank parking lot. In the back, behind
Yep.
M&T. I don't know what he was doing with that, but
Maybe that's after the hotel.
I don't know.
I'll send around my sketch if anybody's interested.
Sure.
Yeah, I would
like to
be.
see it.
I'd
Yep.
like to see it.
Email it.
Okay.
Email you.
Yeah, email. Yeah.
All right, any other questions, comments?
I'd like to say that Ryan is really keep doing an impressive job staying on top of it right
Yes.
now.
He's our man. He's
You are, yeah, you are the man.
you are the
you
man.
Thank you.
You know,
Within the
everything that's
office.
going on.
During the day when we need somebody there to answer questions and help the public. Even the public isn't allowed in the building right now, but I don't know how the mayor's working that out, but at least you can answer the phone, answer questions. But like I said, right now, there isn't a lot of business. It's very, very quiet the last few months.
Ryan, you doing okay in your sequestering your quarantine?
In a way, Jeff, I've been given a clean bill of health. Both tests, both COVID tests came back negative.
That's
Good.
great.
So the shackles were taken off my doors, and I burst out and I said freedom, and I walked right back into Village Hall here, and then we had a nor'easter. So so yes, it is good to be back.
Well, that's good. Wear a mask, don't talk to strangers, and don't kiss anybody from England.
No. Or South Africa.
Or South, especially South Africa, yes.
Good advice. Good advice.
All right, so if we have some agenda, and we'll find out soon, the next few days or so is the closing date for February, what is that, 16th, I guess.
Yes.
And we'll see if we have a meeting that night, so stay
I may
safe.
not be able to make it again because the President's Day, the holiday is the Monday before, and my job pushes back the Monday meeting to Tuesday meeting, but I don't have the agenda yet for that, so it's sort of a 50-50 shot at this point.
Don't you
Boy,
retire.
Beacon must be like a revolving door. Must be like a revolving door down there, John.
Well, there's a lot of activity down there, that's for sure. The council stays very busy.
Well, the last big discussion I heard was all of the lead pipe and the asbestos in the old buildings that were being converted into apartments and lofts for whoever could come and rent them up there in the city of Beacon.
I don't know anything about lead pipes but they are converting a lot of their old factory buildings to housing.
Well, this was when it was a big kick for everyone to become lead certified in Dutchess County. Granted, this is going back about 6+ years ago, but so
I think they probably have dealt with that issue, but
All right,
next motion to adjourn.
so
I'll
moved.
make Mike. Okay, John. I was about to say Ryan can't make the motion. John made the motion. Do we have a second?
I think it was you, David.
I seconded it. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, everybody stay safe, wear a mask, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay.